Super Bowl 60 for the Seattle Seahawks wasn't just another win. It was obviously to win the biggest game in the NFL, and it was, in my opinion, the game that will start the future dynasty of the Seattle Seahawks. Now, there's a few things at play when you need to be a dynasty. The first thing is multiple championships, and I think the Seattle Seahawks, with 2025 behind them and looking ahead, there's a really good chance that with the team they have, the contract structure that they have for a majority of their both offensive and defensive players, and their ability to draft very well in this short era that has been the Mike Macdonald and John Schneider era, it leads me to believe that they're going to have a really good time retooling where they need and possibly replacing a few faces along the way. Now, the Seahawks already have a really recent track record of losing players either through free agency or trading them away. Just in the last 2 years, we've seen this team release guys like Tyler Lockett, Quandre Diggs, Will Dissly, and then obviously the trades last year of Geno Smith and DK Metcalf. The DK Metcalf one was especially surprising given that this was a team with Sam Darnold taking over as a number one quarterback. There were a lot of questions whether or not he should have as many options at his disposal. And trading away DK Metcalf, who was going into the season as the presumed number one receiver on this team and possible top 10 receiver candidate, it seemed weird that they would trade him away. But we saw them do more with less as Jackson Smith-Njigba took over as the Offensive Player of the Year, one of the best seasons from a receiver, both the regular season and postseason put together in NFL history. This is a real reason, I think, even if they lose somebody in free agency this year, which the Seahawks have almost $75 million in cap space in 2026, so I really don't see them losing either of their big-name guys like Kenneth Walker, Rashid Shaheed, Kobe Bryant, Josh Jobe. I would really envision that this team is going to be able to bring everybody back. The only guy I wouldn't really spend as much as he might get in the open market is Rashid Shaheed. I understand that he is a guy that you traded for, and you think that him matched with JSN and within this Clint Kubiak offense, who is going to call the plays after this year, no one knows yet. But, the hope was that he was going to be the guy to help really break this offense through into an elite level, and it didn't really happen. He improved the special teams, but it really was not the move as many people envisioned it as it happened. However, given that the Seahawks, outside of JSN and Rashid Shaheed, they really don't have another major weapon at their receiver spot. They were really an offense, especially in the Super Bowl and at certain times in the playoffs. They were a team that was really manned by their running game. And throughout the entire season, they were well over 100 yards of running the ball in almost every single one of their games. And even in the games where they weren't running the ball extremely well, they were still able to lean on a reliable offense as opposed to being just an absolute, showstopper of an offense. A lot of times the Seahawks on offense were just good enough to reward their really elite defense. And this was really what won them the Super Bowl, won them a lot of games this year. And I see that getting even better in 2026. I think going into this offseason, you're really running it back. You're not losing much. You're probably going to lose Boye Mafe, possibly one of those guys I mentioned, Josh Jobe or Kobe Bryant. But you have a chance in the draft this year, I think, to replenish. You could get somebody in that 32 overall slot that you really like. And with the recent track record of drafting, in the last 2 years, this team has drafted Gray Zabel, Nick Emenwari, Torrey Horton in the 5th round. Last year, they drafted Byron Murphy. They drafted A.J. Barner in the 4th round. This team shows a really good ability to find value early, find value late. And even if it's guys that didn't really make huge impacts during the regular season, you have somebody like Riley Mills who got a sack in the Super Bowl. You have guys like Robbie Ooze, who was basically their fullback for most of the year this year. You just have a really good ability of bringing in players, whether through free agency, through the draft, like I'm highlighting now, or even through trades. This is a team that could easily make a trade and add somebody to this either offense or defense and take them to another level if that's even possible. And I don't really think you can look at it and say, well, the Seahawks had an easy schedule or anything like that this year. I think in their 7 games against teams that made the playoffs, they went 5-2. And they really handled their business against the teams that they were supposed to beat. I mean, a 26-0 win against Minnesota, 44-13 against New Orleans, 27-10 against Carolina. They handled their business in all of the games that they were supposed to do that in. And again, a big piece of that was their elite defense that was able to shut down average to below average teams almost at a snap of a finger. The only thing I think I could see derailing a dynasty for the Seahawks is if they're not able to get some sort of reliable option at the offensive coordinator spot. Now, this year it was really good. Clint Kubiak made this offense one of the most elite in the NFL. They were a top team in terms of passing the ball. They were a top team in terms of running the ball. Really, the only thing that they did poorly this year was they turned the ball over a lot. There were a lot of interceptions, a lot of fumbles, a lot of those from Sam Darnold. And so whoever is coming in as the play caller next year, they're going to need to try to mirror some of the same success through their play calling. And that might be harder with a new voice for it to get through to the team, or you never know, it could be even better. But we saw this team with Ryan Grubb as the offensive coordinator in 2024. Things just weren't gelling well, and it led to his early firing in that season. And again, the hope is that you find somebody that can keep a stable success at that play caller position. The other thing that could happen is this offense does take a step back next year, but the defense is able to supplement that with an even better performance. Even more dominant, even more playmaking, even more experience for some of these guys like Nick Emenwari or the other rookie, second-year, third-year defenders on this team, and whoever else they end up probably adding in the draft that's going to make a huge impact as well. Not to mention, there's some big names in free agency this year. You could add veteran players like Trey Hendrickson, Joey Bosa, guys who would bring obviously an immediate impact as an edge rusher, and they wouldn't be looked at as the number one guy in this defensive line. They would be looked at as really good, professional, productive, rotational players that could still get 5 to 10 sacks playing 50 to 75% of snaps. I think what I'm going to end this video with is just my kind of thought about this Seahawks team is the past decade, it's really felt like there was always that 1 or 2 game stretch where the Seahawks would be really disappointing. And for whatever reason, it would linger. And even though they did make that one Super Bowl run in 2013, after that point, they really were not able to put everything together, whether it was with Russell Wilson at quarterback or Geno Smith at quarterback. And I think now that they have Sam Darnold, they have obviously their head coach in Mike Macdonald. They have the best defense in the league, possibly one of the best defenses of the last decade. And they have completely removed that feeling of something's going to go wrong for this team at some point, whether it's offense, defense, something's going to go wrong. They've removed that thought. And I think that's the most surprising and one of the more exciting things about this team going forward is you never have that thought about them anymore if they're playing. That's going to be today's video. Make sure you like and subscribe and make sure you stay tuned for the next video. If you have a certain team or player you want me to make a video about, make sure you leave a comment down below, and I'll see you in the next video.